every time that you do something that your brain perceives as rewarding, whether it's finishing a task, whether it's getting a hug, right? Whether it's, whether it's doing a good job, getting approval, right? Or whether it's something that's right. What we want is for you to get that dopamine feeling of esteem, right? It's anything that gives you self-esteem. We want this to be sovereign. We want this to be self-generated. We want it to be through independent things, right? Like approval from someone else is a bit codependent. Feeling good from food is codependent, right? Obviously getting a hug, that's interdependent, right? That's not necessarily codependent, that's interdependent. So we for sure can get feel good neurotransmitters, the feel good neurotransmitter from other people, but then it goes too far, right? Like getting a hug and physical touch is good, but like what about you know physical kind of sexual addictions? That's similar to food addiction, right? It goes over the line, it goes too far, right? And so the goal is to be able to get the pleasure without it becoming without it like burning out, right? So if you think about, it's a really good example because we actually just had our heat break in our house in Louisville, which sucks because you think that we live in the South and that it doesn't get cold here, which is what I thought, but I was wrong because it has snowed for the last week and it is 20 degrees. But interesting, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because our heat has broken a couple times. It's been a cycle. We get a new igniter, it has broken 3 weeks later, and we finally realized that the reason why it broke is because the voltage of the furnace is too high for the igniter and it keeps busting it. It keeps burning it out. The voltage is too high. And so the reason I bring this up is because it's the same thing with dopamine, right? If we get the voltage too high on dopamine and we just we press the button too much and it's too high, it ends up like creating this cycle of heaviness and negativity in the end, right? So there's like a middle way where you get to feel the pleasure from food, but not where it goes overboard, where then you end up like, where you end up burning out your reward feedback mechanism that should give you self-esteem, but instead, and should make you feel good, but instead you're kind of abusing it a little bit. So now it's kind of it's fried, essentially. It got fried. And now you just feel bad all the time and you feel like you just need more hits of the dopamine all the time. And that's what the feedback loop is, where we just keep going back there. We just keep going back there and we need more of it to feel good. And the feel good lasts for a shorter amount of time. And so the loop starts with a trigger, right? This is how the loop starts, where it's like the fried loop, where the reward system gets fried, not where the reward system is in its healthy place, where the reward system gets fried. It starts with a trigger and it usually starts super innocently. So it starts with a trigger. You're stressed from work, you're feeling lonely, you're overwhelmed, you're sad. Maybe there's like a nagging feeling of lack of purpose. You don't like your job, something, right? You just got into a fight with someone. You're worried that someone's mad at you. You're procrastinating. You just tried something on and you didn't like how it fit. So maybe there's just something that triggered you. And then you innocently reach for food as a way to comfort yourself. You get that dopamine hit, that moment of relief. And for a little while, it feels okay, but then maybe you need more. And maybe then you're doing this every day. And then when you do this every day or multiple times a week, it starts to become your body, especially if it's sugary stuff, your body starts to get addicted to needing this substance to get it to the place of feeling good. But the feeling good isn't internally generated. It's not something that's sustainable. It's something that it's artificial. And then we feel bad, right? And then we feel bad, and then we start seeing the physical results of this behavior, which is weight gain, which is low energy, which is more edginess. And we start to think, like, we start to criticize ourselves, and the negative self-talk comes, like, why can't I control myself? Why can't I stop? Like, it's just like I can't do it. Like, what's wrong with me? And then that sets the stage for like a more contracted view of ourselves. It's just we get heavier around, emotionally, physically with ourselves, and we're more susceptible to feeling negativity, and then it repeats, right? Our world gets very narrow to like feel bad, get a reward, it lasts for 5 seconds. I want to get more reward. Now I've gotten too much reward and now I feel gross. It's all negative, and then the cycle continues, right? And like I said, I understand it is really like a drug. For me, food was like a drug, right? At a certain point, you're not hungry for this, right? Like, you're not doing this because you're hungry, right? You're doing it to self-soothe. That's what I did, right? And so, you know, for a long time, it felt automatic, right? Like, it felt like it was me. For a long time, at a certain point, I couldn't separate inherent, like, my own inherent ability to be in control. I couldn't separate my own powerfulness from this behavior. Like, me and this behavior were one and the same. And I know a lot of my clients feel the same. They can't see themselves as separate from this behavior. But this is the first step. We need to separate ourselves from this behavior. And this is one of the first steps of breaking free from the dopamine loop, right? We have compassion for ourselves. We need to be able to see the behavior as a behavior, not who we are inherently, and then start to get deeper into the why and what is the reason why our body, brain, and body chemistry immediately just snap into this behavior. And so slowing down is the key. Bringing awareness to the is key.